Well, Russia's biggest annual economic forum gets underway in St Petersburg today. Among those invited are the Taliban, which currently rule Afghanistan. Last week, President Vladimir Putin said the Islamic militant group should be removed from Russia's list of banned terrorist groups and be backed. And he backed proposals to formally recognize the Taliban as Afghanistan's legitimate government. No Western nation recognizes the Taliban government. Moscow has been trying to strengthen regional ties after being shunned by the West for its invasion of Ukraine. DW's Russia analyst Konstantin Eggert is here. Why is Russia changing this relationship?
Well, first a note of personal observation. I've been to that forum in St Petersburg many times in my life, and I've seen Western presidents, heads of governments, presidents of CEOs of major multinationals now. Now it's the Taliban. So to me, it's quite a demise, I have to say, of a once respected institution. But I think that it's very clear what Putin is trying to achieve. He's focused on basically fighting the West. And whoever is the enemy of the West is his friend. And in this respect, basically helping to lift the Taliban from their isolation, well, that's quite a logical move in his universe, in Putin's universe. And I'm sure that it will proceed, because what Putin recommends, the foreign ministry and the rest of the ministries are usually sort of following up very quickly.
What sort of conditions are going to be attached to this, though?
I don't think there are any conditions. I don't think that the Taliban can basically negotiate any conditions. They'll be very happy to have someone recognize them. Although, of course, there's a lot of bad blood between Moscow and Kabul, Russians and Afghans, you name it. But I think that for Putin, there is some interest. If you look at the context of the hybrid war that he's waging against the West, well, Afghan narcotics trade is something that may well be in the focus of the Kremlin, because if he engages with the Taliban, then he knows more about what goes on there, and even he can influence that. And, drug wars may well become parts of his hybrid assault on the West.
Something that could be lucrative?
Well, I'm sure. Look, in such circumstances, someone will cream off quite a few bucks.
Yeah.
But the main thing is to present a situation in which he may say to Western leaders, well, we are in contact with the Taliban. We know what goes on there. We know everything about the drugs trade. We can impact that, so talk to me. His idea is always getting something on board that can be traded. And in this respect, the Taliban is, to my mind, a pretty logical step.
But what about that bad blood you mentioned in the war in the 80s?
Oh, I think there is a fascination in Moscow with all things Afghan. And that, of course, is the legacy of the Soviet Union's war there, in which more than 1 million Afghans died and quite a few Soviets at the time. I also think that there's this idea that having an impact, having an influence in Afghanistan makes you a player in Asia. And that is something that Putin is, I'm sure, very keen to exploit.
So where do you see this going?
I'm certain that the ban on the Taliban, which are currently considered to be a terrorist organization, even if you mention them in the media, you have to say registered as a terrorist organization in Russia, is going to be removed. And I'm certain that at a certain point in time, they're going to really reopen diplomatic relations in Kabul.
Konstantin Eggert, thank you very much for coming along today.
Thank you.